Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday morning trading session. The markets have just opened up. Been trading here for about a minute now. And it looks like the NQ is going to be making a run, or did make a run at 47 through the yesterday's close, and hasn't moved too far from that. So the Asian session very, very quiet. The European session very, very quiet. And here we are. So just a rather steady rally pretty much all day yesterday. And it was pretty quiet until about shortly after we closed the room, actually. That's when it started to move again. So this morning it looks like we're seeing a little bit of profit taking maybe. The market is heading a little bit lower to start. That's on the NQ, of course. Oh, listen, I should remind you guys, I get a lot of questions asking why do I follow the NASDAQ? It's partly a personal preference. It's partly utility. The NASDAQ, of course, trades at only $5 a tick, which makes it relatively easy even for small account traders to participate, and in some cases easier to take multiple positions rather than trading a market like the E-mini or the Russell or one of these more expensive markets. But that's not to say I won't take a look at something that's of interest to you. If you're an E-mini trader and you would like to know what's going on in the E-mini, or you would like my take of what's going on in the E-mini or the Dow, or, well, the Russell unfortunately is not part of this, my data feed package, but I can look at the mid cap, which is the Russell's twin. I'd be happy to do so. So, please don't be shy to ask. I do tend to favor the NASDAQ, though. Like I said, it's got adequate volatility for day trading, and at $5 a tick, I think it's a pretty tough market to beat in that respect. So interesting, here we've got crude oil shaping up to perhaps give us a trend change signal. Now you can see that crude opened right about here, gave us a with trend signal. One thing you're going to notice about crude is very often it does give you a clean signal right out of the open. Now it's starting to run away on me here, but you can see the trend change signal. We get the down. This has changed the trend line color. There's the up. There's the buyers fighting it back. And here's the sellers saying, no, we're going to push this market lower for a change. Here's the problem with, it would allow me to cover above the high. A lot of times crude is one of these more expensive markets, and it makes it a little bit difficult to participate because you're not able to cover above a fundamentally sound swing to place your stop. Ideally, I always like to place my stops above or below a fundamental level. The reason being, okay, crude would have engaged us here. How do I know I'm truly on the wrong side of this trade? Well, if crude oil prices trade back here above 47.30, I can be reasonably sure I'm wrong about this trade and it's time to leave. But until crude gets above 47.30, there is every reason to suspect that we're going to see a little bit of a pullback here. maybe not a full-out reversal. I'm not sure we're going to see that in crude, but at least a little bit of a hiccup. All right, so here comes the NQ again. You can see here on the hawk, we're kind of in a bit of a chop fest, a lot of yellow bars. Our filter is starting to break up. This is typical when we start to hit a choppy market. Remember, the markets don't usually change direction on a dime, so to speak. They do need a little bit of room. And no real trend change signal yet on the Falcon. Oh, we did have a late filter entry signal produced right here. Now, again, this is going to be a little bit risky. It's still early. Oh, sorry, folks. It's starting to run away on me. So here's our signal, but we're against the ATR line. So typically what we do is we allow the ATR line to flip over. So this now becomes our signal bar. And I'm not going to cover it right below the low. I'm going to cover it a little bit lower. The reason is that sometimes the market will retreat just a little bit here, retest the lows, like kind of make a slightly lower swing, get the buyers interested at a better price, and then you're going to see a rally. So do your best not to crowd your stops if you can. I kind of think we're going to see the NQ head a little bit lower here, though. There was a big rally up yesterday. Speaking of heading lower, here's gold, and gold on the Eagle producing a soft edge bounce. And we're getting an opportunity for what we call the second push on the entry. Darn it. Gold's going to be one of these expensive markets. Nope. All right, where can I cover you? Can I go to 27? Yes. Okay, so gold in a little bit of a tailspin here. Nothing too terribly serious. Came out of this trading range in the overnight, gave us a soft edge bounce and a trend change signal, and now it's continuing lower. I would really like to see it retreat here into the hard edge and produce a hard edge bounce. That would be a fantastic signal. So I guess we can clear that one and wait for a little bit more structure. But gold looking like it's going to head lower. And the rest of the NQ in a little bit of a quandary. First micro macro cross signal. I know it's a high probability signal. All right, we'll set it up to take it one tick above the high. I'll risk it below there. I can still take two contracts. I think what we'll do is we'll go into manual mode and do that. Just throw a onesie on it. And what are the chances you think we're going to see it run back to 47? probably not so good. 46.92 I think is probable. We'll take a look here at our support and resistance suite, and you can see the median line 46.93 We have had a little bit of a test of the extreme down here. Early trend change signal on the Falcon. And oh, look at the orders getting chewed up there, or they were on the Geiger counter. In fact, you know what I might try? Let's try for a runner here today. Let's see if there's a chance we're going to run it up to 47. Okay, I'd love to see the Geiger counter dial pull straight over here to the red side, or pardon me, the red side, the green side, and stay there. That would show me some pretty serious buying. At the moment, not so much. All right, it's looking like the sellers are really pushing the market. The Raptor cloud into this cloud crossover. Let me pull that over for you. So we've got this cloud crossover. We normally anticipate this to give us some sort of support. And if we shoot a line across the high here, you can see we're also getting our test and retest thingy going on. So it would be great to come out of here now with some buying momentum. Oops, wrong tool. Now I hope I pointed out that this wasn't the most attractive first micro-macro cross signal I've ever seen. We're now into a macro pullback on the hawk, and we're actually getting a green bar sell here on the eagle. And we're getting a chance at a second push on that entry. Okay, I'm going to set up to be a little bit more aggressive here. Now, what I'm seeing, and I know this is contra to our hawk trade. In fact, I don't normally do this. I'll do this in the room so I can show it to you. But if I was taking this trade, I would not simultaneously take a long and a short position. Because, well, logistically it's a little bit problematic because one trade is going to offset the other. But I'm a little keener to sell than to buy, and I'll show you why. You see this little move down here? You see this little bit of a test of the extreme that we have up here? You see how this is kind of shaping up to be a little bit of a bear flag? These are all making me think that the market might head a little bit lower today. And again, I'm not thinking a huge retreat. After all, the NQ has been incredibly strong. We're also getting a red bar buy signal now, which, as you know, you can either buy or you can sell the failure, or you can just use it as an early warning that the trend may be reversing. So the tool's a little bit more in sync now, where our hawk is bearish, our eagle is bearish, our raptor, is it bearish yet? Almost. We're getting a little bit of a trend change signal going on. The cloud's still very neutral. And the falcon's starting to work on a trend change signal also. And of course, it's all very early. It's only about 15 minutes into the session. Okay, here comes gold now with a trend line touch signal. Oh, and they had a late filter entry just back there. Looks like the signal's going to print something like this. So the market giving us quite a few opportunities here early on. And we find ourselves at quite a spot here with the NQ. Real struggle going on here at the moment. Okay, last chance for the sellers. In fact, what I could do is I could become a little bit more aggressive here on my eagle trade. We just got comparable signals here on the Falcon and the Raptor. what I'll do is I'll enter the Raptor below here, and we'll cover above the swing high to start. If in fact the market is going to continue to tail off. And once again with the hawk here, I'm going to try to put a runner in play. So the Raptor producing a trend change signal, the Falcon producing a trend change signal. Actually, I'm being a little extra aggressive here with the Raptor. It's not quite as clean a signal as we normally anticipate. All right, let's see this Geiger counter chew on through those orders. No, there the buyers are stepping in again. All right, so you see how the wheel is turned here way into the red zone. We really want to see it turn to the red side and stay to the red side. Oops. See, when it's up like this, that tells me that there's buyers aggressively buying, which you would anticipate off of an area of support. This morning's low around, where did we start the day here? Around 46.77. That's going to be a big obstacle. Okay, the hawk now producing a first micro macro cross signal, which again the red bar buy, which tends to be a weaker signal, typically gives you an early warning to anticipate a first micro macro cross. Oh, Jim's been shooting me some advanced decline numbers here. Sorry, Jim. So we've got, looks like we had about 1,200 on the buy and 1,500 on the sell. So overall, a little bit more a bearish flavor today, which is what we're kind of anticipating. Now Jim says we got 1,160 on the buy and 1,600 on the sell. So still fairly bearish overall. Now my Raptor here has rolled my stop, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my stop up just for a little bit. Like I said, I know this 46.77 area is going to be very difficult to overcome. And it's also very close to our primary support, this 46.77. You can see our primary support coming in at 46.79. Once we're through there, however, we do have a little bit of room to move. Come on. Come on down. Slightly bullish on the Geiger counter. There we go. Come on, turn that dial over to the red side and just hold it there. Come on. Let's go hard into sell mode. Oh, the buyers are strong here. There we go. Come on. Yeah, here we go. We're going to see a little bit of a move lower now, I think. The Geiger counter favoring the sellers at the moment. There we go. Come on. Take 79. There we are, 46.80. Let's take 79.75. There we go. Come on. No, they're still fighting at that level. Wow. 1100 on the buy now and just about 1650 on the sell. So you would think with that much selling pressure, the market would continue lower, but these lows, oops, here we go. These lows right here, 46.79, huge. No, they're going to make a run now at the at the high here, and you can see, well, you can't see very well here on the eagle. Let's take a look at, well, the falcon is still a pretty clean chart. So this is where the market turned before. You can see the width of the bars, there was a little bit more volume associated with that. Came back down here, hit the primary, and now we're struggling, looking for that support level, which we're not going to get, or pardon me, that resistance level. No, they're going to tap me out here in just a moment. Well, did we really get a last minute reprieve? So we're looking at this area right here, this little intermediate area around this 46.87 region as a clue that it's time to go. just about to get tapped. In fact, I would like to put it up to 87. There we go, 87.25. And same thing here with the Raptor. Insanely tight morning range. Look at that, just crazy. Oops, there we go. And we're about to get stopped. And last ditch effort on the part of the sellers. I don't think it's going to be enough though. Well, that was a little bit of a surprise, I have to admit. After the market broke out the way it did, I thought for sure we were going to see it at least test the morning lows, but didn't happen that way. And the hawk still very, very sideways. Still a whole lot of yellow bars through here. This is kind of reminiscent of yesterday, except yesterday we had a little better result. Now, a lot of times what will happen is if the market doesn't want to head lower, it's going to try to head higher, but this morning it's neither wanted to go higher nor lower. I still think the dominant trend of the day is going to be to see the market head lower, and I'm getting a knot in my stomach thinking that my only fault with this eagle trade was putting my stop in too tight. Okay, so here we are again. Well, it's still just a mixed bag, still terribly sideways. Well, I'm starting to wonder whether they are going to press to 47. I was halfway joking about that before. But we are seeing the market in a little bit of a dilemma here. First micro macro cross higher on the hawk. I'm still nursing that short trade. I'm not sure we're really going to see any direction this morning. Well, I shouldn't say this morning, but I mean out of this first micro macro cross, we might see the market rally and try to get to our short-term target, which would be up near our stops here. The advanced decline number is getting a little bit more even. About 1,200 on the buy now, 1,600 on the sell. Whole lot of waffling going on. You see the Geiger counter just flipping back and forth and now very neutral. Well, this is making me feel a little bit better about taking my stops early. Getting a lot of volume in this price range though. So we really have a market that's kind of stuck right there. Jim's also watching the ticks and he says they're not wanting to stay positive for too long. Again, everything suggestive of a market that's about to move lower. Okay, back at the highs. Yeah, maybe, Jim. Jim says we didn't get a test of the 10 a.m. low yesterday. No, we sure did not. The market just kind of took off, never looked back. So This was the 10 a.m. low yesterday. The market just started heading north and all the way to 4,700. So Jim's suggesting maybe we'll see a retest of the lows today. Entirely possible. Well, at least our gold trade worked out. Gold just took a bit of a nosedive here on the Falcon. I was a little bit late bringing that over. It just hit our profit objective, which was down here at the secondary support line. Gold, you can see quite a tailspin. 1, 2, 3, 4 zones lower, and probably poised to head lower still. It's nice that that one at least worked. They fell off rather quickly. Let's take a look here. So Jim says the mini Dow is retraced all the way here to the primary resistance line, which it has, right near 177.80. Nice bounce off of the median line, actually, right here. Oh, and why do I have that chart on 4 ticks? There we go, that's more better. Now, if you want a faster chart, of course you can. People are always asking me about the settings, what settings they should use. Well, honestly, the secret sauce is not in the settings, right? If it were that easy, it would have been figured out ages ago. You probably even would have figured it out yourself. Just be aware that the more or the shorter your bar size, the more signals you will produce, and that's not always a good thing. A lot of times people think, oh, well, if I get more signals, I'll make more money. No, not necessarily so. In fact, sometimes you can have the exact opposite effect. Producing more signals will actually make you less money. Well, not much to look at the moment. We're back into the highs. And that might be all that they're going to give us out of that little press higher. Oh, had a sneeze come on there last second. I was scrambling for my mute button so I wouldn't sneeze in your ear. Jim says his wife sneezes all the time when they're sleeping. You need to get her a mute button. Don't say I said that. I don't even know the woman. I'll get in trouble. All right, well, we're just hanging out here waiting for the next signal to develop. We're back into the highs. We're back into the median line. We're pressing that whole 4,700 region. All right, so we're setting up here. It looks like we're going to get a little bit of a retracement, perhaps even into the hard edge. We don't have a solid signal just yet. I'm wondering whether we're going to get a double dot signal here out of the Falcon. That's our counter trend signal. Now, if you choose to use a double dot signal, remember you always need to tie it in with some resistance. Well, in this case, resistance, because we're looking to sell. Back here in the chart, and something recent, not something, from a couple, 3 days ago. And you can see that, oh yes, we have these highs right here. So the last time the market traded in this region, this was the result. So we have every reason to believe that once the market gets back up here, it may try to head back down here to the primary support again. But we don't have a clean signal just yet. We're still waiting for everything to sort itself out. This is the NQ after all. You can see it is not sell friendly. The NQ just a crazy strong market. Gold retreating into the hard edge on the Eagle. So our earlier sell attempt came right about here, I think. Pardon me. Market made its way down. This was, of course, we sold the Falcon, but the same thing kind of was happening here on the Eagle. Now we're getting back into the hard edge. That could give us another opportunity at a short. Oh, it's the bottom of the hour. I thought we were a little further along because this is what it was like yesterday at around 7:45. But an hour and a bit into the session, the market just kind of went dead flat. bulls are having a field day again. Well, still that red bar, or pardon me, that double dot signal obviously did not develop. Not yet anyways. I tell you though, I'm a little bit gun shy buying into the market at 46.97, knowing that the highs are just sitting there at 4,700. But that's the NQ for you. All right, there it is. Now, here's the problem with this trade, of course, is, well, we're going into the highs, and where in the world did we cover this? Not the, not the most attractive trade. In fact, we haven't really had any really clean signals this morning, have we? I'll let you know if I see anything really good, but we have nothing else going on, so we might as well follow this trade. Jim's watching the width here of the clouds. He says we've got a, what is that, 53 ticks on the cloud to cloud. That would probably be on the YM. The NASDAQ here, though, oh, the sellers just slipped over there. I was going to say the Geiger counter on the NASDAQ was full on into the buy side. Now, of course, the sellers are all over them. Oh, they're just chewing through the orders there. Pardon me. Oh, yeah. You know how you get those spam emails that say, new stock trading system returns X percent? Well, they used to just say, they started in the high 70s, and then they went into the 80s, and then they went into the 90s. Well, I just got an email that said this new system will return a 100%. It's 100% accurate. Can you believe that? Never ever have another losing trade. Oh my gosh, I think whoever initiated that is itching for a lawsuit. All right, well, we're still kind of sitting here waiting on something decent to produce a signal for us. We know there's support here around this 4692 area. This is our whole retest thing. Right, so there's, okay, maybe 4690, 91. Got the breakout, getting the retest. Now we'll see whether or not they can come back with a buy signal. Not at the moment. We're actually producing a green bar sell signal. It just shows you the kind of day it's been. You know what's interesting though is these types of days are kind of a prelude to a reversal. Even though today has been very difficult trading, if you're taking a longer term look on the NQ, we might actually see the market head a little bit lower. Even gold has fallen flat. Crude oil pretty sideways for the most part. Okay, so we're back to this 46.91 area now, 91, 92. I'm getting a few comments about my email comment. Yeah, Mark says if it were that easy, everybody would do it and the markets would fold. The thing is with the markets, though, is let's say it were possible to develop a system that was 100% correct. It would never remain 100% correct because the system would rely on some sort of trigger, right? It would not be fluid. So whatever you use as a trigger, and we'll just use moving averages as an example. If you found the perfect moving average combination that was always correct, and let's say your system gained notoriety, and all of a sudden you had whatever 20,000 people trading your system, the market would adjust. There's people a lot smarter than me, um, who would quickly start to, fade the system so that they'd spoof it's called spoofing when you put large orders out. Hold on a second here. We'll see if I can show you what's going on here. So I'm going to get the dome. All right, so this is called the dome, if you haven't heard of this before. It shows you the orders. It shows you how the orders are stacked, the buy orders, the sell orders. And you can see as you get deeper here, you get some pretty large numbers showing up. So this tells you that if somebody could get 46.93, they would sell. There's 170 orders parked there. And likewise, if you could buy at 46.90.91, there's another 160, 170 orders parked there. Okay, why is this important? Well, a lot of traders who have this type of knowledge think that there's some value in watching these numbers. And I suppose short term there is, in a similar fashion to what the Geiger counter does. Like here, the Geiger counter is full on to the green side. The Geiger counter is actually a little bit easier to interpret. You see how it's stuck there on the green side? That shows you that the market is chewing through the buy orders and that the market should move a little bit higher, at least for the very short term. See, the longer the Geiger counter stays like that, the more aggressive the buyers are becoming. Well, if you had a system that was 100% correct, you would start getting traders who would be spoofing your orders. And what that means is all of a sudden they'd flash, instead of having the big numbers up here, they would flash 200 buy orders only a few ticks away. And they'd flash 200 or 300 sell orders only a few ticks away. Essentially what that would do is it would make your system engage the order, then they'd remove their orders, and then the market would fall the other way. It happens all the time. It's a little bit difficult to explain. It's not really something worth watching. Ray Burke had a great story about how he was watching the NQ, and all of a sudden he saw, there were an abnormally high number of orders up here, we'll say 500, and then all of a sudden those 500 orders disappeared, and he knew that the market was going to move the opposite direction as a result. And now that's rare. You're welcome to watch the dome if you want, give you something to do, I suppose. There's no real long-term knowledge to be gained here. Short-term, sure. You can see if the market's always hitting the bid and never the ask, well, then you're got a pretty clear indication the market's going to head higher. That's very short-term style strategy. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that the market would eventually do something to your system so it would no longer be 100% accurate. Because unlike your system, the market is very, very fluid. But I still can't get over that the guy advertised. I should actually read it. Or I think it led me to a video. That's what it did. That's all the rage now, is to put videos up. All right. I was going to say, if I found something halfway interesting, well, here's something halfway interesting. We've got a macro pullback signal. This might be one of our best signals this morning. Well, aside from the first micro-macro cross down here, that is so obvious in hindsight. But when it was building, well, I think I was still nursing my short first micro-macro cross, wasn't I? All right, let's see if we can get some follow through on this one now. And I will use the break-even trigger, and I will use the profit target. And in fact, you know what? I don't feel like taking a loss. So I'm going to go in with the bar high-low and kind of squeeze the trade a bit. Just looking for a short-term move here. Yeah, like Jim says, the market is it's like a living organism. It certainly is. It does adjust. Yeah, and Mark says too, the market is self-correcting. Well, that's a good idea. Mark says you can always Google the name of the system that they sent and put the word scam behind it, and you'll see right away probably some other Google searches that or posts that people have put up on Google. Okay, come on now. NQ, don't fail me now. You actually gave me a half decent signal here. Let's get some follow through. Come on. Okay, so we're at break even now. Just shy of our target. Come on, you stinkers. Oh well. I guess I can't complain too much about a break-even trade. But it showed such promise. It was certainly worth the attempt. And, well, I did use the break-even trigger. I was going to say maybe I was too aggressive with that. I should start rolling my stops on this one also. This was kind of the last chance for the buyers. In fact, I could get more aggressive here also. Oops, let's try this. So if the buyers fail at this point, it's not good. Okay, well, just one of those days, no real follow through anywhere. Okay, now this is interesting where we're at. We've retreated back here to the macro line. We're into yellow bars, so we don't have a real signal here. This macro pullback just came within a tick of our profit objective. We know there's support here at 46.90. If we get the market to hold this support one more time, come on, there's that red bar buy. Come on. What I'm looking at here is we've got a test of the extreme. If the buyers dig in here one more time, push the market up a little bit, and the sellers then come back, say around 46.94, 95, they're really going to take it out on the buyers. They're really going to crush the buyers at that point. You can see the Falcon already working on a early trend change signal. The Hawk giving us our red bar buy, which we could short the failure. Okay, Mark's asking, Eric, could you please clarify which of those two signals was the macro pullback. Was it the first one or the second one? Well, this was the, oh yeah, you're right, Mark. Yeah. No, technically, Mark, you're absolutely correct. This is the first macro pullback. And that one did get to the profit objective. This one was also a macro pullback, the one I took. It was still a macro pullback signal. I was late on it. The market came up short. We really need to see a little bit of a bounce here. We need to see this support hold. That would tell us that there's a whole lot of buying support around this 46.89.90 area. And there they come. And yes, Mark, you're right. Mark says, I ask because sometimes there are several, but you are correct. This is the first, pardon me, this is the macro pullback signal. And you can see, I don't know why I didn't see that when it printed the first time, but this one is much better than the one I took because you're looking for the test of the extreme, right? There's no real test of the extreme yet of these highs. So you can get in there, quick little scalp. Now we do have the test of the extreme. I'd love to see the market get up here one more time. Like I said, maybe around 46.95. Let's see if I draw a trend line across here. That'll give me a pretty good idea. Yeah, so 95, 96, anywhere in there. If we see the sellers turn the market one more time, get ready to sell. And if it can take the market down below this 46.89 area, we could see a rather substantial move lower. In fact, if you don't mind the heat, you could set up to sell there now. Do cover above the highs though. Advanced decline just about even up. 1370 on the buy and 1500 on the sell. So not a significant difference between those. We'll stay with this just a few minutes longer. All right, well, they are breaking down a little bit early. They engaged our sell order. And oh, I thought there was something to draw a trend line off of down here. Not really. And since this is a onesie, I'll try to let it run if it runs. Remember, we were anticipating a little bit of heat here before before the next reversal, if in fact we are going to see a reversal here. Just looking to sell around the 46.95 place, give or take. Or for the sellers, pardon me, to step in around 46.95. We'll try to stay with this for a few minutes. But overall, kind of a slowish day, hasn't it been? Oops. Okay, working on a possible green bar sell. That's good. We were anticipating that. And a proper trend change signal building here in the Falcon. Let me shoot that trend line again there in anticipation of where the sellers might be coming in. So if we see the sellers come in here now, that would make this green bar sell a very attractive signal. In fact, what I should do is we'll get ready for that. Darn, green bar sell went away. Do we still get the... Well, we could get an early trend change signal here on the Falcon. I was really hoping that green bar sell would hang around. All right, here come the sellers. They're starting to make their presence known. I might hop on the early trend change signal here on the Falcon, or even if the the Raptor gives us a early or a soft edge sell. Okay, so here comes the Falcon now with our early trend change signal. Our Geiger counter, well, it was a little bearish there for a moment, kind of neutral at the way it's setting up right now. Ooh, look at that. Oh, the sellers were chewing through some orders there for a moment. Now the buyers have got the market. Come on, sellers, you were playing so nice there for a moment. All right, so nothing really saleable here at the moment. We're still looking for the buyers or the sellers to confirm that they have control, and really nobody's doing it right now. All right, well, they're continuing to waffle. If you're going to trade this afternoon, I would think a little bit of a retracement lower would not be out of the question. I do think 4,700 it has that psychological resistance to it. So I may favor the sellers ever so slightly, at least for the afternoon session. Remember, tomorrow morning is the open house venue, the public trading room. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning then. Be careful. It's a nutty kind of day today. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.